Every year, scientists uncover new evidence of ancient Egyptian life, from lost tombs to pieces of writing that shed light on how society operated thousands of years ago. But no discoveries are more fascinating than those that reveal how the pyramids were built. For centuries, historians have been scratching their heads over these mysterious structures, wondering how ancient builders moved and lifted the massive stones without modern equipment or technology. Luckily, some secrets have finally been unlocked, and what has been discovered is nothing short of astounding. Here's what we think we know about how the ancient Egyptians built the pyramids. How did they move the gigantic blocks? The first question archaeologists had when studying the pyramids was, how in the world were the blocks moved? You can spend countless hours admiring the precision with which each block was placed, and you still won't be able to figure out how they managed to get them there. To build the Great Pyramid of Giza, workers would have needed to drag about 2 million limestone blocks to its summit, and this doesn't even include the millions of granite blocks used to reinforce the structure. Limestone is a relatively soft rock, so it was easy enough to quarry, but it was incredibly difficult to move. Each block weighed between 2 and 3 tons, making them harder to maneuver than an elephant. So, how did they do it? Researchers at the University of Amsterdam used computer tomography scans to analyze a block known as a broken nose block found near the Sphinx. They determined that it was too heavy for workers to carry, so they likely pulled it across the desert floor using a ramp system. This means that instead of hauling the blocks straight up to build the pyramid, workers would have dragged them to one side of the structure and then pulled them up a ramp. However, as the pyramid grew taller, the ramp would need to be extended to reach the upper levels. Eventually, the entire structure was covered in limestone blocks. But what about the inside chambers? What kept the blocks from collapsing before the outer walls were finished? Surprisingly, the team found that the interior of the pyramid was filled with sawdust mortar. This helped keep the blocks stable until the rest of the structure was completed. How long did it take? It's no secret that the construction of the pyramids took many years. In fact, it's estimated that nearly 20 years went into building the Great Pyramid of Khufu. But researchers recently uncovered new details about how work progressed throughout the day. Scientists studied microscopic fossils preserved in a small lake near the Giza Plateau. They learned that people working on the pyramids used the stars to tell the time, just like we do today. Using sophisticated tools, they were able to tell exactly when the workers began and ended their shifts based on how much silt settled in the lake during the workday. While this is certainly interesting, it raised more questions than it answered. For example, why did the workers stop working during certain hours? And why did they suddenly change their schedule every few weeks? Researchers are hoping to use similar methods to study other ancient sites, such as Stonehenge, to learn more about how prehistoric humans lived their lives. What was the purpose of the chambers? One of the most fascinating aspects of the pyramids is the mysterious chambers hidden inside. Over the years, archaeologists have uncovered several passageways and rooms that were sealed shut with heavy stones. They've also found evidence that some chambers were deliberately blocked off with debris and never opened again. We don't know exactly what these chambers were used for, but there are a few theories. Some experts believe they were used as tombs for important members of society, while others think they were meant to hold treasures and other valuables. It's possible that the chambers were used for both purposes. There's also the theory that the chambers were used to store grain and other food supplies. If true, this would explain why the Egyptians built the pyramids in the middle of the desert. They were literally building giant pantries to hold their food. However, there's no evidence to support this theory, and it's not clear how the Egyptians would have kept their food fresh in such hot temperatures. Why did the Egyptians build the pyramids? Perhaps the biggest mystery surrounding the pyramids is their very purpose. Why did the ancient Egyptians go to all the trouble of building these giant structures? Some believe they were created as tombs for pharaohs, while others think they were meant to serve as temples or places of worship. Still, others believe that the pyramids were used as calendars or observatories to track the movement of the stars. This theory is supported by the fact that the 3 pyramids at Giza are aligned with the 3 stars in Orion's belt. There is also the theory that the pyramids were built to commemorate a great flood that occurred in Egypt around 3100 BC. According to legend, the Nile River overflowed its banks and caused widespread destruction. The pyramids were built as a way to honor those who died in the flood. However, there's no evidence to support this story, and it's not clear why the Egyptians would have built pyramids to commemorate the event. What happened to the builders? One of the most puzzling things about the pyramids is the fact that no one knows what happened to the builders. We don't even know their names. Most of our knowledge about them comes from a single Greek source named Herodotus. He wrote that the pyramids were built by slaves who were forced to work under the threat of death. However, his account is often unreliable, and there's no evidence to support his claims. In recent years, some experts have argued that the pyramids were built by a group of highly skilled craftsmen known as. These men were said to be free to roam and lived near the pyramids. However, this theory is also controversial, and there's no consensus among historians. The truth is, we may never know what happened to the builders of the pyramids. Their identities were lost to time, and it's unlikely that we'll ever uncover their names. Did aliens help build the pyramids? As you might expect, there are plenty of conspiracy theories surrounding the pyramids. One of the most popular theories is that aliens helped the Egyptians build the pyramids. Proponents of this theory point to the precision with which the blocks were placed as evidence that aliens must have been involved. After all, how could ancient humans be so precise without the help of advanced technology? However, there's no evidence to support this theory. In fact, modern humans have built structures that are just as precise without the help of aliens. So it's likely that the Egyptians were simply more advanced than we give them credit for. Another popular theory is that the pyramids were actually built by a lost civilization that predated Egyptian culture. According to this theory, the Egyptians simply found the pyramids already built and then claimed them as their own. Again, there's no evidence to support this claim, and it's not clear why a lost civilization would build pyramids in the middle of the desert. Unveiling the mysteries of the pyramids is a never-ending process. With each new discovery, we learn more about how the ancient Egyptians lived their lives, from their beliefs and customs to their building techniques. There's no doubt that the Egyptians were one of the most advanced civilizations in history. As we continue to explore the secrets of the pyramids, we hope to learn more about the people who built them and the purpose they served. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll even discover evidence of alien involvement. Only time will tell what new revelations await us at the base of these ancient structures. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe for more updates on all things mysterious.